Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Mark, a trainer here at WEX Field Service Management, and today we are covering schedule and dispatch basics. This webinar will cover the schedule page. We'll do an overview of that page, schedule settings, how to schedule an appointment, how to use the work queue, appointment status updates and visuals, how to do callbacks and follow-ups, how to update, cancel, and reschedule appointments, have calendar view options that you can choose with a live Q&A at the end where you can get your questions answered live on stream. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into OXFSM. When you first log into your system, you will be brought to the schedule page. This is one of the main places where you will be creating appointments. On the right side, we have a calendar. A lot of us call this the dispatch board, where you can add users, add those users to different dispatch groups. If I click on this drop down, you can see I've created quite a few groups. This helps us organize our users into different sections. And we have what's called the work queue. And the work queue are draft appointments that are not quite ready yet to be put onto the actual dispatch board. Now, the first thing, if you have a customer that's calling you and you're talking to them for the first time, you will most likely want to know how to simply look up that customer and maybe look at some of their details before you actually start scheduling. To do this, in the top right, it says search customers. You will click here, type their name. Let's say I'm talking to my customer, Justin. If they are in your customer list, they'll show up here. You can click on their name and it will take you to their customer page. This will show you a timeline of any job you've done with them before, and you can just get some info about their account before you go back to the schedule page and start scheduling. If a customer is not in your customer list, they will not show up when you type them here. And you can add them as a new customer if you need to. You can click the red plus button, fill out their information, and click save. That will then add them to your customer list, and then you can pull them up later to schedule appointments. Just a pro tip while we're here, if you are adding a customer and you notice that the email is required, it won't let you save unless you put an email. If your customer doesn't have an email, then you'll want a way to bypass this, and you can do that. Click on opt out of marketing emails and opt out of email notifications. And if you notice, that red asterisk has now been removed and we can add the customer without an email. Just a tip there. I have gotten questions about that before. And there we go. So now before we start actually creating appointments. Oh, awesome. We always did na@na.com. I guess I'm not. Oh, I got you. Yeah. If you put in like a fake email, you can go and change that later. Uh so yeah, that makes sense. Nice. Well, something new. A new way to get past that. All right. So if we want to, start scheduling, there are some settings and some foundational things I recommend doing first if you haven't done these already. And we will start with adding your users, setting up your dispatch groups, and then making sure your job types are correct. So let's take a look at those. To add users, you will go to Settings, User Management, Users. Your user page will show you all of the users in your system. And when you're adding a user, you'll click Add User. That will allow you to fill out that user's information and save them. We already have a user in here I'm going to use as an example. and we will use my field technician, Dustin Bailey. The things that are important here as it relates to scheduling, if you want, you can set a tech skill level that will show up when you are scheduling your appointments. You can tell whether they are a rookie, a veteran, or an expert. Then right here, when you're adding your users, now the user has to be added in order for them to log into the system and use WEX FSM. But if you don't assign them to a dispatch group, they will not show up on the schedule page. So if you come in, you add all of your field technicians, let's say, you go to the schedule page to start putting appointments on the schedule, and you notice, hey, where are my users I just added? If you don't assign them to a dispatch group, they will not show up on the schedule page. So it is important that you're also setting up your dispatch groups as part of your foundational settings so scheduling is easier for you. We'll do that in just a second. One more thing here. In terms of scheduling events, if you have an office where the office team is creating all events and you do not want your field technicians to just make their own appointments, then you can turn that off here. Cannot schedule events. If you do want that, maybe you have a culture where your technicians, if they get done early, they can schedule their own appointments and go, do those. Then we would want to put one of these others, like schedule all events. So permissions for scheduling for these users that you're creating are down below here. Once you make your decisions, click save, and those will update immediately. Now, we were talking about dispatch groups. How do you set up groups? What does that look like? We will go to settings, user management, dispatch groups. That brings you to the dispatch group admin page. Now, when you're making these groups, think to yourself, how do I want to organize my team? For some of my customers, if you're running solo or maybe you just have one or two people on the team, a smaller business, you may only need one dispatch group that has both of you in there. If you have a larger team, maybe you even have, HVAC side of the business and a plumbing side of the business, separating your technicians out and being able to organize them into groups is very helpful. To create a group, you will click Add Dispatch Group. Enter the name that you want that group to be. I do always recommend having an all users group, maybe a field techs group, whatever you want. Name that here. Select who you want to be included and click Save at the bottom. I have done this many times already, so you can see I have many different groups. And this is just a pro tip. This is something that I personally do. You don't have to do this. But if you like these groups to be in a specific order, they will be in alphanumeric order. So if you want, you can put numbers in the title, and that will allow these to be in the order that you want. So me personally, I like this order. I like my all users at the top, field techs, office, HVAC, etc. And then when I go to the schedule page and I click on my dispatch group drop down to select the group, I've got them in a nice order here because I did add these numbers. Again, that's personal preference. If you don't do that, they'll just be in alphabetical order here. Okay. So the last setting before we actually schedule our first appointment is to check your job type settings. So we're going to go to settings, jobs, job types. Job types do a couple things in the system. Number one, probably the most important, is this is going to categorize your jobs for reporting purposes. If you are creating appointments, you're creating jobs, each time you'll select what kind of job it is. So is it an install? Tag it as an install. Is it a no AC call? Tag it as no AC, etc. 6 months from now, if I want to see how much revenue I've made from installs last month, I can do that because each job I've made, I've been selecting what type of job it is, and then you can filter by job type in your report. So you can filter and get data on any of these job types. When you first sign up, it's very generic. So we do have job types in here for you. If they work for you, that's great. But I do recommend coming here and add your own job types based on the types of jobs that you do. If you're working in the HVAC industry, maybe every time you have a no AC call or a no heat call, you want to tag those as such. And then when you go to look at your reports, you can kind of see what happened with our no AC calls. So that is job types. You can also, and this is just a kind of a pro tip, when you are creating these, let's go to our install here. You've got the color. So when you're looking at appointments on the schedule page, you'll see they are a color. The colors you see of each appointment block are based on the job type. So if you see a lot of green, you know we have a lot of installs today. If you see a lot of red, we have a lot of service calls today. And you can set the default duration. So if you know every time you do an install, it's at least 2 hours, you can set that as default. And that's one less click that you'll have to do when scheduling because that duration will already be preset based on the job type. I didn't make any changes to that, so we'll get out of that. Okay, so that is our foundation, making sure that you're adding your users so they can use the system and be added to the dispatch board. Make sure you have dispatch groups set up so you can organize on the dispatch board and make sure your job types are set up so you have nice data capabilities in your reporting. All right, moving on. Now let's go back to the schedule page in the main navigation in the top left. And we are ready to start scheduling. The first way that you can start to schedule an appointment, there's actually two ways that you can do this. One is click the red button here called New. Click on that, and you can start creating an appointment. However, there is a shortcut, and probably the more you do this, the more you'll want to do this shortcut. And that is look at the dispatch board, and if you know the date, the time, and the technician, you can just click on that box and it will preload that information when you get into scheduling. So let's say that we want to create an appointment for my field technician, Dustin, here for 12 p.m. I will just click on that 12 p.m. time slot, and now we will start creating the appointment. Customer appointment is a customer facing appointment, and you will just search for the customer you want to make an appointment for. Let's use our customer, Justin. If you're talking to a customer, you're creating an appointment for them, and they're not in your system, you can click the red plus button here to add them. They'll make a new customer profile in your customer list, and then you'll move forward with the appointment. Once you have your customer selected, we're just going to start at the top and work our way down. Customer information is at the top. You can always tell the customer balance. This will be a sum of all outstanding invoices they have in their system. If you notice that someone owes you money, maybe they didn't pay you for the last job, you might want to bring that up before you schedule another appointment for them. If you're talking to the customer, you're dialing in your appointment, and they say, "Hey, I actually changed my phone number. Can we go ahead and update that in your system?" That's very easy to do. Instead of having to go out in a different page and go to the customer profile, you can simply click the edit button right here, and now we're inside their customer profile. Essentially, we've got a way to update their information, their billing addresses, settings, and preferences. If you want to add a new address, you can click the red plus button, And then when you're done, make sure you're hitting save on the section you updated and back to appointment. Next is the job location. This is where your technician will see that they need to go. They can also click on the address to give them GPS directions out to the job. And if you want to select a different address, you can click the drop down. For some customers, maybe you're, single family home residential customers, they just have one address. But if you're working with someone who owns multiple properties or a property management company where there's like, hundreds of addresses, you can search through that address list here and see all of their locations. If you need to add a new job location address, you can click the edit pencil here and now add and update locations on this account by clicking the red plus button and adding that info. We'll click back. This part where it says job, this is very important. This part is how you're going to organize your jobs in your system. And when you create an appointment, it's going to create a brand new job folder and put this appointment in that job folder. And then anything else that you do, if you make another appointment or a invoice or, proposal, take a payment, whatever you do, that will be saved in that job folder. That's if new job is selected. However, if this is a callback, a second visit, and it relates to a previous job that you've done, you will want to then select, and I just click the drop down here, select that previous job, and then it will save this appointment in that previous job. The benefit of that is you will be able to see all the other components, any notes, any invoices, payments, and the technician will see that as well. So to keep everything organized, you just determine, is this a new job, a new service I'm providing for my customer? Select new job. If this relates to a previous job you've already started, go and select the previous job folder. Job name, it says optional. I highly recommend that you add job names. This will come in handy. And actually, let's take a quick look at this. I'm going to click on this little arrow. Another pro tip, anywhere in the system that you see this little arrow, that will open whatever this is in a new tab. So we're going to keep our space here, but we're going to go out to the customer page. And job name shows up in the timeline under the job. So if I'm trying to search for something quick, I can go to the customer page and I can see the jobs we've done for them. So this is like, here's where we did the fall maintenance. This was a service that we did, no AC. I can tell right away what these are. If you don't add a job name, you'll just see the job number and you'll probably have to click into each job. Like this job here, I know it's a service call, but what type of service? And I just see a job number, no job name. So I'm going to have to click in, do a little investigation instead of just knowing, oh, that's a no cool. This is where we did the furnace install. So naming your jobs is very important for organization and recalling what something is when you go to look for it later. For today's example, let's go ahead and do a no AC. And we talked about this earlier, your job type. Let's say that our no AC, we'll use the no AC job type. That's going to help for reporting when I go look at my job types in my reports later. We're ready to schedule now. So it says schedule now. We have, since we clicked on the calendar, it already has this pre-populated. We have the date, we have the time, we have the technician. So I can skip a step here because that's already populated. If you have any notes, you can add notes here, and these are not customer facing. So your customer won't see this. This is a great place to put things like, gate code, don't let the cats out. And of course, if they have mean dogs or a grumpy old man, like you could put that here and your technician will see it, but the customer will not. So good place for reminders there and prepping your technician for what is to come when they get there. Last but not least, we have our appointment notifications and reminders. Scheduled means when we hit schedule, this will send a appointment confirmation out to the customer, letting them know you have scheduled an appointment. You can put reminders. So if you schedule this, let's say a month from now, I could remind the customer that this is happening. Those will just send out automatically 1 week prior and 1 day prior. And en route, this one's unique. If en route is turned on, this will allow the technician, when they say, I'm on my way, it will send a message to the customer letting them know their technician is on the way. So once you have your communication preferences set here and who you would like this to be sent to, we can now click schedule to schedule the appointment. And there we go. So it's a no AC call. We see that it's blue. If I hover over, you'll get a snapshot of what this is. And if I click on it, that will allow me to then edit what the appointment is. So if I need to edit any part of this, I can, including if I need to cancel or reschedule this. Now, just to show you, these are drag and droppable. So if someone's like, I can't do 12, could we push it to 3? Dustin's available at 3, no problem. Just drag, drop. The changes have been made, and you just confirm and hit save. You can also click to send an appointment update to the customer if you want them to see the update that you have just made. So that's the drag and drop method. If it's not today and they need it sometime next week, you can just click, select cancel or unschedule. And then, so actually, I went a little fast there. If we click, you can pick a new date, a new time, update the technician right from here. But let's say that they're not sure when you're going to come back. We need to cancel this. We had a family emergency, but hopefully in a week or two we can do this again. You can just click cancel unschedule, and you have three options. Unschedule, if I click save, unschedule will put this into the work queue, which are like draft appointments waiting to be scheduled. If I know we're not going to do this, I just want to cancel it, we'll choose cancel. That will cancel it. It won't put it in the work queue, but there will be a historical record that at one time was scheduled. And maybe you made two of the same appointments on accident and you just want to delete one completely. That is the delete option. There will be no history or record that was ever made if you choose delete. All right, let me check my notes here real quick just to make sure we are on track. Perfect. Next, let's talk about the work queue. So what we've done so far has added an appointment to the board. So Dustin here would now, in his mobile app, look and see that this is an actual job he needs to go do. But we know that there are times where you will need to write down information for a job, but you're not sure which technician is going to go out and do the job yet, or maybe you're not sure the date or the time. There's something missing that's going to help it complete and be put on the board. And that is why we have the work queue. This is a place for draft appointments that are not ready quite yet to go on the dispatch board. So we have two kinds of work queue items. There are service requests and unassigned appointments. Service request, there's a lot of info missing. You're not sure the date or the time or the technician. This is a true draft appointment. And then unassigned appointments, you know the date and you know the time. The only missing factor is the technician. You're not sure which technician is going to run that job. And so in both scenarios, you can just see all of your draft appointments here by clicking Show All. You have an option to show filters. And if there is something in here that you want to schedule, you can just click, drag, drop it on the schedule, make your adjustments, and click save. Now, how do I create service requests and unassigned appointments? To do this, it will start the same way that we did before. This time, let's just click new. So I'll click new. We'll search for our customer, Emily. Oh, and select. So with Emily, we know that we want to go out there on Monday. We're going to get someone there between 3 and 4 p.m., but I'm not sure which technician is going to be available on Monday. I know one of my guys will be, but I'm not sure which one. So we're going to select assign later and schedule. Now, that put this in the work queue, and here it is. It created the job 15490. If I want to, I can click the edit pencil to kind of view what this is all about. I can click into calls and notes, see any notes that have been added to this, and then when you're ready to schedule, we can now assign a technician and click save. The drag and drop method also works. A service request, same way, either click on the dispatch board or click new, enter your customer. But with a service request, we're not going to choose schedule now. We're going to choose service request. And that way, I'm not sure the date, I'm not sure the time or the technician. I can set a required technician level. Let's say, I know this is going to be a big job, so I would like a level 3 technician for this. And I know it's going to be a big install, so I'm going to set this to 2 hours duration. You could even put, install here. Maybe this is a furnace install. We're going to change the job type to install, and then any notes, this will remind me of things later, and hit save. Now that has been saved as a service request, and here is that install. When we're ready, drag and drop. And there we go. Okay, so that is using the work queue. Now let's take a look at appointment status updates and visuals. So what's really nice, when you're working in the office, there's a lot going on. People are calling you, you're looking at schedules, you're probably looking at reports. Like there's many different hats that the office team wears. And it's nice to know what's going on out in the field without having to do a lot of work. So we have some visual indicators that will tell you what's going on. Uh, I'm going to hover over this appointment and I'm going to go to the job. Now, your technician, and let's use this as an example. So, Dustin Bailey here is scheduled between 3 and 4 p.m. And let's say that he is in the truck and he's ready to start driving out. So, he's going to change on his mobile app, he's going to update the status to en route, meaning that he's on the way to the job. If you go back to the schedule page, in the office, you'll see moving dotted lines. And that's going to represent that Dustin here is on the way to the job. So I know he's traveling. Dustin's in transit. Then, when he gets to the job, he'll update the status to at job. That will put a timestamp, and we will see that those moving dotted lines have stopped moving and it's just a dotted outline. So if I see this, I know that Dustin is at this job doing the work. He's on location. When he is complete with the job, he will mark the appointment as complete. And then you will see that turns gray. And it's really nice, when you just glance, you can see where everyone's at, what they're doing, Are they driving on the way to the job? Are they at the job? Did they finish the job? And when you get to the end of the day here, you should have technically everything gray. That means that all appointments were completed for the day. If you notice, and actually, let's move this back here, and we're going to mark this as missed. If someone misses an appointment, then it will be kind of a lower opacity. If you noticed, it was like a bright red. Over here, it's a little toned down of a red, and that means it was missed. It's past the time, and the technician did not post any time that they worked on the job. Now, this may be Caleb here just forgot, and you need to update his timestamps. If he actually missed it, then you would want to know too, because you probably have an upset customer. If someone misses, let's say they don't clock in, they forgot. I call Caleb, hey, did we do this Mary Smith job at 9 a.m. or what's the deal? I'm sorry, I forgot, but I did do the job. Cool. Let's update this. You will hover over the appointment and go to the job. So just click on the job number. That will bring us to the job page. And there is an appointments and service request section that will tell you technician, the time they were scheduled, and then actual time is what this technician will click on the mobile app to say, I started the job and the job is complete. So I'm talking to Caleb. Let's say he said oh, sorry, click on NA. That will allow me to edit. Click on add new time entry. And now we're just getting info from Caleb, what he actually worked. So he said he got there a little late, 9:07. And then he did the work and left at 10:15. And we'll say that that's the time he was at the job. So we'll click save here, the little floppy disk, and get out of here. And there we go. So now this is edited and updated. We probably, if you know that this was completed, you'll also want to change the status to complete for your records. And now this appointment has been updated. Very easy to do, and you can just do it straight from the job. When you're looking at your reports, you will be able to see timestamps, but I say it's easier to do it right from here per the job. Okay. Now, let's talk about callbacks and flag for follow-ups. We do have two more topics before we get to our Q&A, so get your questions ready. We'll go over callbacks and follow-ups, and then we will look at some personal preference calendar view options, and then we'll get into our Q&A. So, callbacks. If you go out to a job, let's say I'm the technician. I realize I can't finish the job today. I need to order a part. There's some type of follow-up that needs to happen. We have a flag for follow-up system that makes it easy to keep track of your follow-ups. To do this, let's go to this job here with Bob, and we're going to go into this furnace install and just click. Okay, so this is me. Let's say I'm the technician. I go out and I realize I don't have the part that I need. I am able to add a flag. Wait a minute. Oh, where's the flag button? Interesting. So usually there's a flag button right here. I am in a test account. Let me check something. Flags are here. You know of the flag for follow-up? Oh, perfect. Um, right? Am I a crazy person? The flag should be right here. Yes. And if I complete the flag, there it is. Okay, I'm not crazy. So there it is. You and I both know about this. Flag for follow-up. Click on the flag, enter the type of follow-up that you want to do. There will be some generic ones in here, like part order, that's very standard. But you can add any follow-up type that you want by selecting add new follow-up type. And then for this example, let's say we need to order a part, so we can choose part order. I personally, this is a personal pro tip. When you're adding notes in here, I like to put the dates. So, 522, we need to order a part. And I'm going to assign this to Allison, who does our part ordering, and then save. That will then add a banner at the top. So what's nice, somebody else makes a flag and you're in the system, you'll see a notification, a flag has been created. This is new. If you click on flags, that will bring you to the job list with show flags only selected. So you can very quickly and easily see and manage your flags from here. You just click on the flag to see what it is. So let's say that I'm Allison, I'm coming into work. Let's see if I have any flags assigned to me. So I will select myself as Allison. And here's what I need to do. Let's see what it is. I would click on this. Okay, we need to order this part. Obviously, you would put what type of part you need and anything that, Allison would need to know. And then I would say, on 527, part ordered and has come in, and save. Then back on the job, now I can say, 528, uh, tech installed part, job complete. And when you mark this as complete, it locks in the notes for your records. It shows you who was the last person to update this and when they updated it, and then click save. Oh, that's another new feature, that timestamp there. All right. And that is just a great way to keep track of any follow-ups that you have. And last but not least, we have some calendar view options. So if we go to the schedule page, you can choose between calendar view, which will show it as a calendar, list view. If you have a lot of appointments in that day and you just want to see them all in a list, you can see it like that. Map view will show you any appointments that you have on the board. This is kind of zoomed out, but it'll zoom you into your region, and then you can see the appointments on the map here with these little icons. And then a legend will let you know what each icon means, just as a reference. Back on the calendar, we have the option to view horizontal, which is what we're seeing now, or a vertical view, which the time goes down the page, kind of like a Google Calendar. You can have 30 or 60-minute intervals. In the horizontal view, you can click and drag and edit the order that your technicians are in. Click on the calendar icon here to choose which day you would like to view. And then we have a daily view, which is what we're looking at now, one day at a time, a weekly view to see your week at a glance, and a monthly view to see the entire month. If you want more space, you can click the full screen, which will push that out to the edges of your screen. And maybe you're not working with the work queue, so you can hide that to get maximum real estate for your schedule. Okay, so that is all the information we have for today's presentation. We're going to move to our Q&A now. But before we do, I just want to say thank you so much for joining. My name is Mark with WEX Field Service Management, and this has been Schedule and Dispatch Basics.